about like 3/4 of the way through though, I start to lose my voice, you guys. So sure that I was not going to get the job. Now let's get into the tips that I have for you. Okay, someone asked how to find the right school for you. Oh my gosh, this question's so sweet. It was, what was it like the day you got the call, you got the job? Okay, the last question I'm gonna answer is, how do you create a portfolio when you haven't even graduated yet? Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about getting a teaching job. So this video has been very highly requested over my Instagram, and so I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So how this video is going to be formatted is, in the first half of the video, I'm going to share a story time of how I got my job. And so the way that I got it was a little bit unconventional and not usual, and so I'm excited to share it with you guys. And then the rest of the video is going to be my tips for you guys, like interview tips, things that helped me, and then also answering your guys' questions that you asked me over on Instagram. And so I think this video is going to be a lot of fun. It was very highly requested, and so I'm excited to film it for you guys. And so if you are new here, hello, my name is Haley. I'm a first year kindergarten teacher. I've been vlogging my whole experience and absolutely been loving it. And so if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can join our channel. And let's get into this video. So to start my job searching journey, I ended up going to a few job fairs. I actually went to 3 total. So the first job fair that I went to was one that was hosted by my college. At that job fair, there was probably like 30, 40, 50 districts there, and they were all throughout the state of Washington. And so at that job fair, that's kind of where I really started to like shake my nerves, get more confident, do a couple interviews and stuff like that. And so at that job fair, I ended up doing 4 interviews. And so the first interview that I did was with a district that I had never heard of before, and I wasn't interested in really, but it was an interview that I took and did anyways, just so that I could get comfortable answering the questions, kind of practice, like, I don't know, interviewing. And so I think it really helped me kind of build my confidence and just kind of like shake the nerves. The second interview that I did was for another school district, and at that school district, they were looking for an ELL teacher job. And so they ended up offering me a letter of intent for the job position, but I ended up not signing it because, at least where I'm at, ELL teacher positions vary so much school to school, even within the same school district. The responsibilities you have as that job is just hard to know exactly what you're getting into and what your responsibilities will be. And so I didn't feel comfortable signing that and taking that job, so I did not. The third interview that I did was with another school district that is very big, and it was a district I was actually interested in. And so I ended up doing, I think, 2 interviews with them, like the first one with like a person and then the second one with another person, I don't know. But I did 2 interviews at that job fair for that district, and I ended up signing a letter of intent to work at that district. And from what I understand, I don't fully understand, but from what I understand, in that situation, a letter of intent means that you got through like the first hurdle, so then you are in the like applicant pool that schools will draw from when they have jobs open. And so that letter of intent that I signed for that district is not the district that I worked for now, but it was a district that I was interested in. So after the first job fair, I was feeling very confident in myself. I felt like I was comfortable answering questions. You know, it's obviously a confidence boost to have like 2 districts offer you, you know, letters of intent, and it just like felt good that I knew what I was talking about. And so that job fair really started to open some doors with me, and I started to see what districts I was actually really interested in. The second job fair that I went to was a district specific job fair. So it was the district that I'm working at now, actually. I was very interested in. It was number 1 on my list after talking to them, and so I ended up going to their district job fair. At that job fair, it was just a screening interview, basically just to make sure like you had the credits and like you could answer questions, I guess. I don't really know, just to like see that you're actually like a teacher and you're interested in like making sure that you're a good fit, basically, I think. And so I did a screening interview that was like 15 minutes long, and then that was it. And that one I felt kind of defeated after. I remember I was vlogging and I was like, nothing really came of that. I don't really know if I did well. They didn't really tell me. I don't really know what to think. So obviously it went fine because I'm working there now, but I didn't get my job through that interview. The third job fair that I went through was a statewide job fair, and that job fair was a Washington state job fair. So there was like so many districts, like at least 100 there, and it was crazy. And I just remember feeling kind of overwhelmed. So what I did for that job fair was I had like mini portfolios prepared, and so what I did was I ordered these like clear folders off of Amazon. They're just like clear plastic folders. I can try and link similar ones down below in the description box, but I bought those, and then I printed off my cover letter, resume, letters of recommendation, and then trying to think if I had anything else in there. Oh, my exam scores from like my ELL exam, my reading exam, and my EdTPA scores. I had all of those things printed off, stapled together, I think, or not stapled together. They were in the package, they were in the folder, and I had like 20 of them prepared, and I would hand them out to all the districts that I was talking to, that I was interested in. And so I really think that like having it in a folder like helps make it stand out, because it's like, you know, different than just a piece of paper, if that makes sense. So that's what I did. And that at that job fair I did like a couple interviews, I think, but nothing like spectacular, because I had already talked to all the districts that I was interested in and like had already started interviewing with them. And so yeah, that one was fine. It was just a lot. When I forgot to mention, at the first job fair that I went to at the college, I had my resume, my cover letter, and my letters of rec printed out, and I just had them stapled together in a packet. So for the Washington State job fair, I went a little bit further and bought those little folders and added in my like NES scores and my EdTPA scores. Then became like a waiting game. I started applying to like all the jobs online at all the districts that were even close to where I was going to be in the Seattle area. I started applying everywhere, and I started to feel a little bit discouraged because other people that I knew got jobs at the Washington State job fair and I did not. And so I just was applying to jobs, waiting to hear. And so then around the end of April, I got a call from HR at the district that I'm working at currently, and they said, hey, this school wants to interview you. It's an ELL teacher position and they want to do an interview with you. And at first I was like, well, I already decided I didn't want to be an ELL teacher. Like I had my heart set being on a classroom teacher. And so I was like, I don't know if I should do it, but the HR lady ended up talking me into it, and she was like, hey, if you want to work for our district, like you should still take the interview. Like it's just gonna be good practice. You'll get to see another principal and they'll get to know you. Nothing bad could come out of it. And I said, okay, fine. So I ended up doing the interview. And the interview was a Zoom interview, so online. And the crazy thing was, the weekend before that interview, I had a double ear infection. And so I was just getting over that. So the interview starts, there's a panel of 3 people, my principal, the ELL specialist, and then another specialist. So I think the reading specialist. So all 3 of them were in front of the Zoom camera. I was at my house on my computer, and they said, okay, so we're gonna record this interview just so that if anyone else is interested like in you, we can just send the interview off so you don't have to go through the whole interview process. I said, okay. They started the camera, and so we started doing the interview, and it's going really well. And about like 3/4 of the way through though, I start to lose my voice, you guys. I literally could not talk. I didn't have any water near me. It was horrible. I was so sure that I was not going to get the job or like anything. But at the beginning of the interview, the principal actually asked me, she was like, so what makes you want to be an ELL teacher rather than a classroom teacher? And I kind of went through and explained that, you know, maybe one day I want to be an ELL specialist, but just because it varies so much job by job, and that like I wouldn't be familiar with the curriculum and stuff like that, or the school, I felt like it would be better for me to start off as a classroom teacher and then transition into an ELL specialist eventually if I wanted, just so that I could have better understanding of how to support the teachers. And she kind of agreed with that. And so we kind of went through the interview knowing that I wanted to be a classroom teacher. Anyways, so I started to lose my voice. I started to be able to only like say like 2 or 3 words, you guys, like each question. It was awful, and I couldn't stop coughing. I was so embarrassed. It was the worst. Anyways, we get through the whole interview. She turns off the camera, and then, so my principal now, she turns off the camera, and then she turns to me and she says, so usually I have to talk to these 2 people next to me, but I am just going to make this decision and say that I am very interested in you. I want you to work here. I know as a first-year teacher, it can be very appealing to just accept the first job that you are offered. And if you get another job offer, I want you to call me because I want you to work at our school. And I was like, oh my gosh. I literally like was so shocked and like so over the moon and just like surprised and just all of the feelings. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And so she said, you know, she's gonna figure out how many positions they're exactly gonna have open and then give me a call when they figure out what they figure out, you know? So I was like so excited, but nothing was set in stone yet. And so about a week later, I got a call. I was actually at student teaching and I actually vlogged it. And she said, hey, we have a position available. I want to offer it to you. Do you want to work at our school? And I said, yes. And so that is where I'm at now. So it's just kind of crazy because I didn't even interview for a classroom position. I interviewed for an ELL teacher position and then got offered a classroom position. So It was just crazy. I cannot believe that they like liked me enough, even though like I couldn't even talk. It was crazy. So that's kind of how I became where I'm at and how I became a teacher in my whole job search process. And so it's a little bit unconventional. I didn't end up pursuing any other jobs. Obviously, it was kind of early on, so I ended up accepting my job, I think, on May 6th or 9th. I don't remember. So it was early May. And that was still considered pretty early for like all of the rest of my cohort. Anyways, that's how I got my job. And so now let's get into the tips that I have for you. Okay, first tip is to update your resume. Make sure your resume is very professional. Make sure that it's easy to read. Make sure that it stands out. Like, I know that for me, I just went online and found a template that I liked, downloaded it. I had to pay for it. I think it was like $1.50, but it was totally worth it. I downloaded a template and then just added in all my information, and then it was so easy for me. And so that's what I did. I know that you can get templates like on Teachers Pay Teachers. I know Pocket Full of Primary is a really good resource for job searching. I think a lot of people use her template too. My second tip for you is to get letters of recommendation. And so I got letters of recommendations from my CT, the principal at the school that I was student teaching at, an old boss that when I worked at the YMCA, she gave me a letter of rec. Actually, 2 people gave me letters of rec from there. And then I think I had a professor at a college too. And so I had 5 letters of rec. And I think it just shows that you have a diverse array of people that think you're doing a good job. And so I had letters of recommendations from those people. You could talk to people at your school and figure out who everyone else is getting letters of recommendations from, and then kind of see who you think you could use. My third tip for you is to look up interview questions. And so I know personally, I looked up a lot of videos on teacher interview questions. I watched Pocket Full of Primaries like so many times. She was such a good resource for me. But do not just memorize answers. Because if you go into an interview and you have something memorized, people can tell that you just memorized an answer. But use those questions to kind of like brainstorm different things that you could bring up. So say the question is like, how do you differentiate your instruction for ELL students? You could talk about, you know, this is how I do it, here's an example. So think about like the examples you could possibly pull from, like examples that you've done student teaching or examples you've seen other people do. Like, just think about that. Another tip I have for you is to dress professional to your interview. This seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how people dress for job fairs or for interviews. So just make sure that you are professional looking, but also make sure that you're comfortable, because if you're not comfortable in what you're wearing, it's gonna show. You're not gonna do your best because you're gonna be like tugging at your clothes and not feeling good and stuff. And so I personally, to my interview, wore like a dress, like a professional looking dress with tights, heels, and then like a little blazer thing that I felt comfortable in, I felt confident in, and I just felt good about it. And so those are kind of the tips that I have for you. And so now let's go into the questions that you guys submitted on Instagram. Okay, so someone asked, did you go to job fairs? Yes, I did. I ended up going to 3. I highly recommend going to job fairs. That's how you build connections. That's how like the district people get to know who you are. They'll recognize your resume, they'll recognize you, and you can just build those connections. So I highly recommend. Someone asked, how many jobs did you apply to? I applied to a lot of jobs. I applied to like all the districts around me where I'm at right now, where I knew that I was going to be moving. But because I got my job so early on, before a lot of jobs were even posted at the other districts, I didn't end up pursuing any of the other ones. And I like got calls from other jobs and I had to tell them like I already accepted. And so then I had to withdraw my applications. And so I didn't end up going on like a ton of job specific interviews. I just applied to a lot of districts. Someone asked, did you apply for kindergarten? No. So how it works from what I understand. So it varies district to district. Some districts, you just apply for like elementary, and then schools will pull your application to the jobs that they have available. And then for other districts, you do apply for grade specific jobs. And so when I was applying for grade specific jobs, I applied from anywhere from kindergarten to 3rd grade. That's just what I was comfortable with. And then for this job specifically though, I did not apply for kindergarten. Someone asked, did you make a portfolio? I get asked this all the time, and I did not. I did not have to, because I never went on a like very formal interview in person. I was going to. I like ordered the materials to do it, and I bought Pocket Full of Primary's portfolio packet, I think, on TPT, but I never ended up having to make one because I just never ended up having to go on like a really formal interview like that. Okay, someone asked how to find the right school for you. This is key, because Obviously getting a job is important, but you also want to be happy at your job, and you want to be at a school and a district that supports you as a teacher and supports what you believe. So this is where job fairs came in handy, because you go to the job fair, they all have like posters or like trifolds of, you know, pictures and words and things that they stand for. And so when I went to the job fairs, I found my districts that I'm working for. The reason that I chose them is because in big letters across all three of the like little boards was relationships, and they like totally 100% align with what I believe, that relationships come first, that you need relationships to be able to teach, you need relationships for classroom management, you need relationships for everything. And so when I saw that, I was immediately drawn to that school and that district, because I knew that it aligned with what I aligned with. So look up their mission statements, look on their websites, look on like their newsletters, look at their presentations at job fairs, stuff like that, to kind of see if they even align with what you align with. So that's how I knew that my district was the right district for me, just based on what I saw and what the people that were there at the job fairs represented and how they treated me as a potential candidate. Time frame of getting a job based on yourselves and others you graduated with. So at my student teaching school, there was 3 teachers there, and I think we were in a cohort of like 30-ish teachers. So the 2 other teachers at my school got their job like late April, and they were the first 2. And then it was me, and I got my job in early May. And so we were the first 3 to get jobs. And then I think following that, other people in my cohort started to get jobs, but I know quite a few, probably half of my cohort, didn't get jobs until the summer. Okay, someone asked common interview questions. I actually have a whole video sharing every single interview question I was ever asked on my YouTube channel. I will link it up above in the iCards. Highly recommend watching that. I know that there's a lot of questions about like differentiation, classroom management, classroom environment, parent, like family relationship. Yeah, those are the ones off the top of my head, but watch that video because it was very helpful, I think. Someone asked, did you get a job where you student taught, or do you know people who did? I did not get a job where I student taught. I knew that I was going to move, and so I didn't pursue that option at all. And then I know people online who had gotten jobs where they student taught, but I don't know anyone in my real life who got jobs where they student taught. Okay, someone asked, what did you do to prepare? So I kind of already touched on this, but I updated my resume, made sure that everything that was on there was applicable and relevant to being a teacher. So like what jobs I included like working at a childcare facility, and I included working at a YMCA. I also watched a lot of interview question videos and looked them up online. I made sure that I had an outfit prepared, and I made sure I had like all my copies of everything I needed printed off. Okay, someone asked also what to put on your resume when you don't have your license degree yet because you haven't graduated and are still student teaching. What I did was I put my degree names like Bachelor's of Arts in Elementary Education, expected June 2020, or like ELL endorsement, expected June 2019. So I put an expected right next to it, so then it shows like that's what your degree is going to be. It's just not, you don't have it yet. And so that's what I did. They always ask with what questions I have for them, suggestions on what to ask. This is true. You always want to ask a question to them too, to show that you're like interested. And so I think what I asked them was, what are you most proud of about your school, or most proud of about your district? So that kind of gets them talking about, you know, what they find most important and what they're most proud of. And so then you can kind of get into an insight of what they believe to be most present and most important, and you can see if like you also agree with that. I think I also asked what sort of events you have to help bring the community into your school. I think those were the 2 that I asked a lot. Just ask something that makes them feel like you're actually interested in their school and in their district. Don't ask about like pay or ask about benefits, because that makes it seem like you're in it just for a job. You want to show that you're in it because you want to be there, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a part of the community, not just for the job. All right, what else? Okay, someone asked, did you get offered a job on the spot, or did you wait to find out if you got it? I kind of got offered a job on the spot, but it wasn't like I signed a contract that day, but they told me like they wanted me to work there. Someone asked, did you get to choose the grade you teach in? No, I did not. They just said that it was kindergarten. What are certain jobs should you get when you're in high school to help you with your teaching? This is a good question. So anything working with kids obviously looks good when you go to apply for a job or apply for teaching. I personally worked at a preschool while I was in high school. I worked at YMCA's for the past like 4 years, and then I also worked at a like foster care facility. And so those jobs looked really good on my resume, I'm sure, because it showed that I like have a lot of experience with kids. I like know, you know, how to work with them and stuff. And so just anything that you can do with kids, especially if you can like teach during it, like preschool or something, that'll look really good, I think. Oh my gosh, this question's so sweet. It was, what was it like the day you got the call, you got the job? PS, love your channel. Thank you so much. It was crazy. I like literally started bawling. I was in the bathroom where I was student teaching and I literally started bawling. I was so excited and so happy and just so surreal feeling. I have wanted to be a teacher my entire life, so when I got that call and like got the job, I was like, oh my gosh. And the fact that it was like my dream school district, I like had my heart set on it. I wanted to work there so bad. Even though the commute was going to be long, I did not care. I wanted it anyways. And so I was just so grateful and happy and appreciative and just so excited. Okay, someone asked, do you feel like you lost job opportunities because you didn't have a master's degree? No, not at all. I don't think I missed out on any opportunities because I didn't have a master's degree. It's not something that is required in Washington State. I know through the comments that people have left that it is required in other states like New York, I think. But in my state, it's not required at all. It's not expected for teachers to have it. So I don't feel like I lost any opportunities because of it. Okay, someone asked, how did you deal with nervousness / anxiety prior to your interview? I just tried to be as prepared as I could before I got there. So just making sure that I practiced all the questions, like I literally had a document of all the questions that I had like seen people talk about, and I like had bullet points like, how did you incorporate science? Then I like had an example written out so that I could like review it and remember, oh yeah, I taught that lesson, or oh, I did this one thing, to kind of like prepare myself just to like activate that prior knowledge of what I had done in the past so that I could like pull from that when it came time for me to answer the questions. Making sure I had all of my copies printed out of my resume and my cover letter and my letters of rec and stuff like that. I just tried to prepare as much as I could so that then when I went into the interview, like I was as prepared as I could be. Okay, someone asked, does it truly have a lot to do with past experience / what's on your resume? What can help? I don't think in my experience that it had a lot to do with past experience. I think it had a lot to do with the degree that I chose to pursue. At least in Washington State, having an ELL degree is like makes you very marketable because a lot of districts need that support. They need teachers that know how to teach and work with students that don't speak English. And as soon as I would go and talk to someone and I said, oh, I have an ELL degree, or I'm expected to have an ELL degree, they would all like start talking to me more. And so I feel like the degree that you choose and the school that you're going to has more of an impact than what your past experiences are if you're a first year teacher, because you don't have other years of experience like teaching, so you can't really like compete that way, but you can compete with like what degree you chose and what school you chose. And so if you are thinking about what program you want to go into, think about what degree is most desirable, if that makes sense. What degree will help you the most when you're teaching? Okay, the last question I'm going to answer is, how do you create a portfolio when you haven't even graduated yet? If you are graduating in like 3 months, you essentially have your degree. Like, people that are looking at you for a job, they know that you're going to have your degree if you're there applying then. So just put the expected date, like expected March 2020 or expected June 2020, whenever it is, and list your degrees like you have them. And if you've taken already like some of the tests for like your endorsements and stuff, attach the score reports for them. So then they can see, oh yeah, you already passed these. Or if you've already taken your EdTPA and got your score back, attach your EdTPA score so they see, oh yeah, she passed. Like obviously it's just, you know, 2 more months till she gets her actual degree. For a portfolio, you can take pictures of other classrooms and put them in your portfolio and say, this is what I would do. So say you want to have a word wall. Look on Pinterest or go around the school you're student teaching in, or like the classroom you're student teaching in, and take a picture of the word wall and say, this is what I would do. Don't be afraid to like use other people's pictures or use other people's classrooms. You might want to ask permission, but like it'll show that you have thought through how you want to organize your first classroom, and it'll show like what you want to do with it even though you haven't done it yet. So that is everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I feel like I just chatted forever, but hopefully it was helpful. I know that the job searching process can be very, very stressful. I'm so grateful I don't have to do it this year or hopefully anytime soon. I wish you all the best of luck. Make sure to look online on YouTube and like look for other videos to help you prepare. Make sure that you are confident and just believe in yourself and know that you are a great teacher and you will be able to do great things no matter where you end up. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see the rest of my videos. Also follow along on Instagram if you aren't already to see day-to-day light, output of the days, lesson ideas, stuff like that. So I hope you guys all have an amazing week and I will see you guys next time. Bye! I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna
gonna keep it low.